afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Interdisciplinary Doctoral Fellows Information Session. I'm Bianette Castellanos, and I'm the director of the Institute for Advanced Study, and I'm really delighted to have you all join us for this session. For accessibility purpose, I want to share that I'm a brown-skinned woman with dark hair, wearing glasses with black frames, and a green shirt with a black sweater. Before we get into today's program, I do just want to cover a few technical instructions. So you can enable transcriptions by clicking on the live transcription button, commonly located in the bottom of the Zoom menu bar if you're on a desktop computer, or in the top right menu if you're on a mobile device. And then you can click on show subtitles. And following today's presentations, we have approximately 30 minutes of time dedicated to breakout rooms to give you time to talk to each of the center's representatives. You'll be able to join any of the 5 breakout rooms you desire once Abby Travis, our communication specialist, opens them for you. And if you didn't select a center when you first registered, you can go ahead and contact Abby by, through the chat, and she will assist you to give you access to that breakout room. Okay, and so today we have representatives from 7 IDF sponsoring centers here who will each talk about the fellowship experience at their center, as well as their specific application processes and deadlines. And I want to thank all of my colleagues for joining us today. We have joining us today Lydia Garver from the Center for Premodern Studies, Jeffrey Yost from the Charles Babbage Institute, Kathy Jordan from the Institute on the Environment, Karen Brown from the Interdisciplinary Center for the Study of Global Change, and Lizzie Fabian, representing both the Minnesota Population Center and Life Course Center. But before we begin talking about the experiences of those specific centers, I'm very pleased to introduce Karen Ho, Professor of Anthropology and Chair of African American and African Studies. Karen has served on the IDF Selection Committee for the past 10 years and has chaired for more than half of those years. She's currently co-chairing this year. So she's really has a wealth of information to share with you today. So she's going to spend a little bit of time talking about what makes for compelling applications. So I'm going to pass it over now to Karen. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Thanks so much, Bianette. Thanks so much, IAS and all sort of fellow colleagues and grads. Really great to see you. I want to let you know that I'm going to be sort of doing a quick presentation. I won't be able to stay for the breakout sessions because I actually have to go to the airport to catch a flight. So, just a small window into the sort of, harriedness of my life today. But I did want to sort of have a chance to give you a sense of what the IDF proposal and some of the things that the sort of larger committee is charged with looking at, right? The idea of how to craft that proposal. And do you know, Abby, do you still have that slide up? Would it be helpful to show? It's just one slide. If not, it's no worries.
I do. It'll be up in one moment.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So you all know that the IDF application, right, has multiple component parts, and oftentimes that's precisely what can throw many potential applicants off, right, because they need to organize and have a letter from their primary dissertation research advisor that's in their program. They need a faculty mentor letter, right? So the faculty mentor letter is the letter of the person that they're hoping to work with, that they're hoping to collaborate with. Again, that faculty mentor letter, again, is not your advisor letter, but it's a faculty mentor letter. That letter does not have to be super detailed. It's about a 1 page, because for most of you, you will not have worked with that faculty member because it's a new collaboration. Some of you will know that potential faculty mentor, and that's okay too, right? But the idea is that they give a sense of having connected with you and have a sense that they've sort of supported that project. And then the third component part is actually the sort of center, sponsorship, right? So the center director, whether it be, for example, Bianette Castellanos of IAS, or Jeffrey Yost of the Charles Babbage Center, or Karen Brown of ICGC, you get my drift, writes a robust paragraph or two showing their support for your project, right? So it seems daunting because there are multiple component parts. Moreover, the faculty mentor needs to be affiliated with that center. right? So you need to sort of demonstrate a synergy with not only the faculty member, but with the center. And part of that synergy is the fact that the faculty mentor is housed in a particular center. So those are the component parts. So, but I want to talk a little bit about the application itself. So if we can go to that slide, that would be really helpful.
Sorry, Karen, I'm having some technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, no problem. So let me go ahead and actually start talking about the application, right? And when the slide comes up, we can look at it. So your fellowship application is really going to be evaluated based on some of the following criteria. And it's important to have a sense of what these criteria are. And so I can just go ahead and let you know. The criteria are, one, the proposal needs to demonstrate interdisciplinarity. Now, you all might be thinking, gosh, my proposal's already interdisciplinary. How will I actually demonstrate sort of further interdisciplinarity? Well, that's precisely the sort of case that you have to make, right? So you have to stage an interdisciplinary innovativeness, right? So that the committee readers, the fellowship readers, have a sense, right, of why A has to be juxtaposed with B, right? So in a sense, for most of you, your projects will already be, a hybrid of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? But for the purposes of this application, you might sort of need to bound a little bit, right? The discipline you're currently being trained in, that's being represented in your own department or program. And then you need to make a case for why you need to bridge to B, right? An interdisciplinary center, an interdisciplinary mentor, and that B will then, in sort of synergizing with your A, right, produce what's sort of read as super interdisciplinarity. So if you all get my drift, it means that you sort of will need to sort of stage a little bit of a sort of separation so that you can then make the case for why these two need to come together. And so applications shouldn't say, I'm already interdisciplinary, so therefore I just want a little bit more. The committee is not going to find that as compelling, right? So, so one, you really need to articulate the particular interdisciplinarity of, this sort of chosen new collaboration. Now, the second point you want to sort of demonstrate is its innovativeness. Now, innovativeness means sort of that this interdisciplinary research is going to allow the sort of being housed in the center, being mentored by this faculty member, is going to allow your research to move into an interdisciplinary innovative direction. So many times I get this question, what if you already know the faculty mentor? That's okay. You can already know the faculty mentor. Now, should that faculty mentor be somebody you've already been working with for 3 years? Should they already be on your committee? Probably not, right? Because again, the mentor and the center should be something that's a relatively new juxtaposition. It doesn't have to be brand new. But again, you want to be able to sort of make the case for its innovativeness and why the juxtaposition of this interdisciplinary collaboration will be innovative. Again, you can draw from, I have, previous connection with this person. I've worked in their lab before. I've had a previous sort of get to know you session. They might know so-and-so that's in my network. However, this particular collaboration is innovative because, right? You don't want to have on your application, they're already on my committee, I've been working with them forever, and we're just going to continue, right? So again, how you frame the innovativeness. You will want to be able to frame that there is a mutual synergy. So there is a synergy for the center that you are going to be housed there. Why does a sort of center want to sort of house you as a fellow? There will be a mutual synergy for your project to be housed at the center. So you'll want to demonstrate there's a mutual synergy between your research and your presence and that of the life and the work of the center. And certainly of the mentor, which is also part of the center. You want to demonstrate that synergy. And so those are sort of the top three, right? Interdisciplinarity, innovation, innovativeness, mutual synergy. And then rounding out the sort of, five key things that the committee is going to be looking at is the research proposal itself, right? How do you frame your own research's significance? And this is something that's, again, not necessarily how it's interdisciplinary, it's innovative, it's synergistic, but just the strength of the research proposal. Right? Why is your own research significant? That's something that the committee will evaluate. And finally, your writing style. And by that, the committee means, is your writing style, quote unquote, free of jargon? And you all know that, everyone sort of says that in dissertation proposal writing and grant proposal writing. But this time, folks really mean it. And what I mean by that is the constitution of the IDF Fellowship Committee. The constitution of the IDF Fellowship Committee is unlike any other fellowship committee of readers that I've been a part of. So, for example, you will have sort of a broad committee, right, composed of 16 to 20 faculty. You will have subgroups, right, composed of 4 or 5 people, readers. This subgroup can only have usually one representative from a particular college. So in your subgroup, the group in charge of reading your proposal might have one person from computer science, one person from the medical school, one person from Carlson, and one person from CLA. Your committee might have one person from CEHD, one person from College of Biological Sciences, one person from College of Agriculture, CFANS, and one person from CLA, right? So just to give you a sense, and if that person from CLA, right, is a statistician versus somebody who is in English and or sociology, you can see how that shape of that readership might shift. So when we say jargon free, we really mean it. Right? There will be somebody from the Humphrey School looking at this and saying, oh gosh, I have no idea what this means. There might be somebody from Earth Sciences saying, gosh, what does interdisciplinarity, what is interdisciplinarity in terms of thinking about post-colonial studies? What does that mean? Right. So the idea about jargon free is really real in this context, because you will not have subject matter familiarity for almost all of your readers, right? You will not have disciplinary familiarity with almost all of your readers. So really being able to articulate that sort of writing style, that sort of significance in a jargon-free way. Maybe you can think of your audience as sort of a really well-read 14-year-old, or maybe describing it to your, to a parent or your high school teacher or something like that, right? So think about somebody who is interested and is relatively well read, but has no idea of all of the sort of key assumptions that might be from your particular sort of graduate training. So those are the sort of 5 things that that the committee is charged with evaluating. In addition, you will have, and I talked about this sort of early on, 3 component sort of letters / supportive statements. One is from your advisor. That goes into the evaluation mix. Does the advisor really strongly support this project? One is from the faculty mentor. Does the faculty mentor strongly support this project? And 3 is from the center, right? Again, from the center, it doesn't have to be sort of a long, 10-page letter, but it has to be a robust paragraph or 2 talking about the synergies and the resources and the sort of context that they would be able to sort of help to synergize with the research and help support the research. So I think I've thrown, quite a bit at you. Those are the sort of key parts I wanted to make sure that you all got a sense of. And maybe we can, I don't know if it would make sense to have Q&A at this point, or we kind of move on, but those are sort of the key points that I wanted to draw out to you all. And we can stop and share. Thank you, Abby, for getting that out.
There are a few questions. So Abby, can you share those with Karen?
Absolutely. Karen, the first question we have is, are 75% civil service employees eligible for the IDF if they're also grad students?
I am not sure. My assumption would be yes. I would email the graduate school fellowship. Email gsfellow@umn.edu. That's Marie Monter, to ask her that question, and she's usually really responsive to these kinds of questions. But that's a great question. I don't exactly know the answer. My assumption would be yes, but please email them.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. The next question is, and if folks can enter these into the Q&A box as opposed to the chat, that helps me. I know there are a couple in the chat and I will capture those, but if folks can enter those in the Q&A box, that'll help me make sure I don't miss any. Our next question was, I'm so sorry, I'm just catching them. What if your mentor is also the center director? Is that an option?
That is an option. That should be okay. Yeah. I'm not aware of any rules that said that cannot be the case. Read the fine print in terms of that, but we've certainly had instances where that is absolutely the case. Usually it doesn't happen all the time, because if you're a center director, you're probably, super busy. You don't have, to write 10 mentor letters, but it has happened. So I don't, check the directions, but in my experience, it has happened.
Yeah. Can you apply with more than one center?
So you can try out more than one center for the in the initial sort of stages, and I think the center directors can sort of weigh in on this. Some centers will have their own internal nomination process. So IAS and INE and, actually probably all the ones that are here have their own nomination process. So one center might get 20 nominations. They have to sort of figure out who that they sort of want to sort of put forward, right? And that's an important step, because who they put forward, they'll have to make sure that the director writes the sort of supportive statements. They have to demonstrate the synergies. There's all this sort of institutional work that gets built in. So at the stage of trying to figure out your center, you might say put in your application to IAS and Ridges, or you might put your thing into INE and ICGC and see where you get nominated from. And if you get nominated from both, then you would recuse yourself from one, and then so that center can then put forward somebody else, right? So that would be my, there might be some centers that don't have an internal nomination process, because usually they're smaller. They get one or two applications a year to be housed in that center. So there's really no need to actually have an internal nomination process. They just put you forward. So you should sort of figure out, and that's another level of complication to the IDF, is that at the center level, even before you come to the university committee, there's that own sort of nomination process, and or no nomination process. You just kind of go forward because the center doesn't have their own sort of internal nomination process / competition.
Yeah, that actually relates to another question we have about applying through small centers, which, as in centers maybe not listed on the IDF website.
If they are not listed on the IDF website, you should double check with, again, the GS fellow, Marie Monter, to make sure that you can apply through that affiliation. I think usually they can, because there's centers sort of proliferate at the University of Minnesota. So it's certainly possible that there's one that they have not sort of caught their eye or sort of have been sort of indexed institutionally, but you should definitely double check with the GS fellow.
Kind of related to something you were talking about before and working with different centers, but also in this case, the possibility of working with multiple faculty mentors. Is that possible, working with more than one faculty mentor and having them co-write a letter?
That's possible. That's possible. Both faculty mentors would have to be affiliated with the center, with that same center, and they can co-mentor you and co-write. Absolutely. Again, we don't usually see that many of those because it's hard to sort of organize yourself and your advisor, much less two mentors and a center, but it's certainly possible.
Thank you for that. I think we have just a couple more. I know we want to give you time to scoot off to the airport and, give other folks plenty of time to do their center presentations. A quick one here, citation. How do readers feel about having citations in proposals? Is that necessary?
A few citations here and there might be a good idea. Again, you will really want the proposal to flow. You really want it to be jargon free. You really want to sort of make the case for the significance of that proposal without sort of having the sort of reader really sort of stop and kind of go, gosh, I need to look all these things up before I can further apprehend it. There probably should be sort of the proposal, you should sort of judge also not only based on its jargon freeness and can the significance sort of jump off the page, but also try to write it in terms of something that's visually scannable. If you hand your proposal to a fellow graduate student from a different department, will they be able to sort of, read it quickly and report back to you in a sort of legible and sort of comprehensive way what your proposal is? So definitely have other readers, not only your advisor and your committee and faculty mentor, but other your fellow peers, right? And judge it based on that sort of transferability. I see that there's one that just sort of caught my eye in terms of the yes, this is a pretty competitive fellowship. There's a lot of people who apply, and there is a limited number of application or fellowships that are awarded. So our record number of applicants has been 90 something, and we can only award 19 or 20. There is no, so you can sort of imagine that given that, the committee really, and given that the sort of remember the 4 small faculty group subcommittees I was telling you about to sort of make up the larger committee, they each sort of put forward the people they want to put forward. And then the larger sort of committee meets, after all the subcommittees have done their work to sort of make the final decision. If somebody's proposal is not ranked so well within these small subcommittees, it's likely it won't really even make it to the discussion of the larger university fellowship committee meeting. Only if somebody really wants to champion them and sort of bring them back up. Otherwise, we spend the bulk of our time really discussing the folks that the smaller subcommittees sort of are contested about, and usually those get a little bit more airing. So it is sort of an odd committee in that sense, right? There's you have to sort of you have to survive the vagaries, right, of these sort of 4 subcommittees, and then sort of make it into the university committee. So I want to say to all of you, don't feel too bad, right? If you need to apply again, that there is a kind of oddity to this application process. As one of the co-chairs, I've been trying to sort of figure out ways that we can make sure to be as transparent as possible with grads who are applying. So therefore you sort of, you see these sort of rubrics that are coming up. So that gives you a sense. Oh, and there is no quota in terms of your discipline or your center. The readers are notified that just because ICGC already had somebody that got sort of put forward highly doesn't mean they can't have another one. right? Just because somebody in the psychology department already is ranked high doesn't mean they can't have another one, right? So you're not supposed, the readers are not supposed to sort of put a quota based on your college, your discipline, your center. You're just supposed to read all of them and judge them based on those criteria I was telling you about, not a quota based on your program, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. There's one question we've gotten a couple times, which is about the way mid-career is referred to on the IDF page and what that means. And I guess probably how that relates to, can people apply multiple times, that sort of thing.
Yes, you can absolutely apply more than once. There's a range of applicants. Usually you could imagine if you're a first year student, it is very unlikely that if you're a first year student that you will also already have found an interdisciplinary faculty member. You're busy trying to get to know your own advisor in your own program, right? So the IDF does privilege folks who've been here for at least 2 or 3 years because you've had a sense of identifying a center, identifying a potential faculty member. You also get a sense of how you're being trained in your own program, in your department, and what's lacking in that training. Why you need, right, an active interdisciplinary juxtaposition or sort of hybrid formation or sort of fresh outlook or fresh sort of methodological or theoretical or conceptual lens, and why you need the sort of interdisciplinary center. So it does privilege folks who are sort of a little bit in the early middle. Now, having said that, there are sometimes folks who apply who are at a later stage. So for example, let's say you are in, history, anthropology, anyone who's sort of doing a substantive amount of sort of external research. It could also be sort of looking at particular kind of texts, really, I mean, anyone. But you've finished your dissertation research, your dissertation fieldwork, and you realize upon sort of thinking through some of the sort of new findings that you're having, right? Thinking through some of the initial assumptions that got challenged during your research process. And you're now charged with commencing to start writing your dissertation. And you realize, oh, my research really pointed me to the fact that I really need training in literature, and I don't have any training in literature. Or I need training in Spanish and Portuguese, and I don't have any training in this, right? So your research, having undergone your sort of dissertation research can sometimes point to a new set of tools or a sort of new interdiscipline that you need to engage with to best write your dissertation. So in those cases, obviously that person would be a later stage, right? Maybe year 4, maybe year 5. The committee sort of draws the line in terms of the DDF. If you are applying for the DDF, which is a dissertation completion fellowship, you should not be applying for the IDF, right? But if you're in that sort of stage where you finish your research enough to sort of shake up the kinds of conceptual tools you need, and you recognize that you actually need new insight from an interdisciplinary field that you haven't had training in before, that only your research brought about, then yes, somebody who's mid-later can oftentimes also make the case.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
About one more question for you, and then we'll move on to the presentations. And this wraps together a couple of kind of different but really related questions that we've gotten a couple times and get every year, which is, this speaks to actually what you were just talking about too, which is really, how closely related does the center have to be to the student's work? Can that work against you in an application? Actually, like if you are already working with a center in a certain capacity, can that work against you in an application as opposed to doing something that takes your work in a new direction? Or how, do you need to be working at a center that's really related to the work you're already doing or is related to your field?
Yes, and that is a great set of questions. It really speaks to a little bit of this contradiction that we are sort of, trying to sort of finagle here.
Yeah.
So there is the ideal type application, which I think I frame it as ideal type because it's never really sort of exactly the fulfilled in practice. And that's because most of your projects and most of your interactions are already interdisciplinary, right? So already that's sort of breaking the mold, right? And the IDF sort of depends upon sort of creating not bounded, right? But bounded, then it's probably necessary mold that which you will then upend. So having said that, most people follow along a spectrum. Again, it does not have to be a new collaboration, but you do have to show the sort of the innovativeness of this synergy, um, and slightly newer is better than super old. So I don't know if that sort of helps you. If it is a long-standing collaboration, again, if you already have access to this center and this person, this mentor, then why do you need an IDF fellowship to achieve it? So think about it like that, right? If you know somebody and it's because you know them and you've sort of been introduced to them, but the work you're doing, right, needs that funding, it's not already been done, then you can sort of make the case for, yes, it is, you're building upon a collaboration that you sort of already started, but this collaboration will yield in this coming year, in this coming fellowship, this new kind of innovation. So you basically just have to navigate that, right? It privileges newness, but it also recognizes that if it's completely new, you won't even have any idea who each other are, much less write about it, right? So you know, I hope that answers your question. The other thing that in speaking it sort of reminded me of is that sometimes the readers need a little bit more education in terms of understanding why something is interdisciplinary in the first place. So, for example, we actually had an applicant who was in perhaps it was anthropology or sociology and wanted to partner and who's with a mentor who's in history. Or we had somebody who was in anthropology and wanted to partner with somebody who was in geography. Now, for some people, you might think, gosh, they're already the same, right? For an interdisciplinary reader who doesn't know the differences, right, of that juxtaposition might presume, oh, what's the difference between all of these disciplines, all of these interdisciplines? So in those cases, you will want to sort of really draw out why this is an interdisciplinary innovation, right? Somebody who is in geography might be deeply trained in a particular kind of political economy, and yet they have no sort of training in doing sort of cultural ethnography. You might need to sort of make that case for why this juxtaposition makes sense, right? So even if in real life things are already intersecting and things sort of are already in a spectrum of sort of hybridity, in the application itself, you'll want to sort of make the case for why this is a interdisciplinary juxtaposition. Does that get at hopefully the questions?
Yes, that really did. I hope that helps everyone who is asking a whole range of questions like that. And those were all of our questions at this point. And I really can't thank you enough for your time, Karen. That was a really incredible response to all of those many questions. We'll let you take a break from the screen and have a wonderful flight. And we will move on to our 5-minute presentations from our couple of participating centers today. Thank you so much, Karen.
Awesome. Thanks to everybody. Also, folks, those of you who are grads in the Zoom room, feel free to send me an email, and I'm happy to address it. Okay.
Thanks so much, Karen.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, we're gonna pivot to the Center for Premodern Studies.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lydia Garver, and I'm the Associate Director for the Center for Premodern Studies. Our director, Juliette, is currently in France, but she's also someone that you could contact regarding questions that you might have. I feel like I should maybe tell you a little bit about what the center is, because it's kind of a weird name and doesn't make sense to many people. So ostensibly, our center studies the world prior to 1800, but If you know us, you will find that we are not strongly committed to gatekeeping time at all. But we are really interested in historical thinking. We're interested in problematizing notions of modernity and what that even means. And we're interested in the practice of doing pre-modern studies. And for us, that is interdisciplinary by necessity, because the world we study is pre-disciplinary and not structured by the silos of the modern university. And it's also collaborative and community-based, because we need that type of feedback from other disciplines to make our work as robust as it can be. So I think some of the strengths of our center and why students have been attracted to working with us for IDFs is interdisciplinary historical thinking approaches. A lot of people in our center specialize in different archival approaches, which can be really useful. And also projects in the humanities and social sciences or other areas, even in the sciences, that are sitting in between disciplines or could really benefit from that idea of pre-disciplinary thinking. Some of the benefits of working with our center for an IDF is that we have a very active community of faculty and graduate students. We have basically a weekly lecture series that people participate in. We have multiple workshops that do works in progress work that you can participate in. We invite our IDF fellows to present in our lecture series and for them to collaborate with their mentor to select a visitor for our lecture series that can engage the scholarly project that they're working on. We have office space. We offer $1,500 in additional research funds. And there's additional information on the events section, not the events, the news section of our website that you can look at about our application process. We are doing our applications to us due on October 16th, kind of following the same schedule as the IAS. And then the final thing I'll note is that we like to talk with people about their projects in advance and to help connect you with mentors that you might have. So please reach out to us if you're considering us. We also have a summer dissertation fellows program, and we've had students who have applied for the IDF with us, who even if that IDF application has not been successful, they've been able to partner with us through our summer dissertation fellows program or another one of our fellowship programs. So there's lots of ways to connect with us beyond the IDF process.
Thank you so much. We're going to now turn to the Charles Babbage Institute.
Thank you. I'm Jeffrey Yost, and I direct the Charles Babbage Institute for Computing, Information, and Culture. We're an interdisciplinary center, and we are a partnership between the College of Science and Engineering and within the College of Science and Engineering, History of Science, Technology, and Medicine. So that's where I am a faculty member. And university libraries. We are both a research center and we're the leading archive in the world for studying computing software and the internet. And we're a small center. We do not have an internal process other than making contact with me, and generally first contact should be made before mid-October so we can discuss if it's a good fit. We have been successful at having a number of IDFs at CBI from a range of different fields: sociology, geography, anthropology, Carlson School of Management, and others. And what our institute offers, we're a small center in terms of staff. It's me, the archivist Amanda Wick, and administrator, and graduate students and undergraduate students who work at our center. But we have a number of fellows, both research fellows and senior research fellows, and also a dissertation Tomasz Fellow, which is a global competition. This forms a real community in terms of expertise, and the research fellows and the senior research fellows are from a range of different disciplines. And so they often have expertise that can help students, along with me serving as a faculty advisor. I've often been both the faculty advisor and obviously I'm writing the center letter. We do have one affiliated faculty member who is part of the same department, History of Science, Technology, and Medicine, as me, Hong Hong Tin, and she specializes in Southeast Asian computing, especially in Taiwan. Most of my work is on American history of computing and software, as well as in the UK and India. Our archives are a major draw and really important to all the IDFs, I think, that we've had. And we have incredible collections, over 320 collections. We are able to work with students to offer a historical component to their study of the digital world, or earlier computation technologies. And as I mentioned, sometimes from a sociological perspective, bringing in history or anthropological. We have a major oral history program, and though many fields do interviews, oral history can be somewhat different from ethnographic interviewing in, say, anthropology. So there's learning on both sides that can occur with that interaction. We offer some travel support to present at a conference. We have a maximum of 2,500. So if there's one student, they would get that. If we once or twice we've had 2 IDFs, so then we split that. I think that's the extent of what I wanted to say. I just, with our collections, they really span almost all aspects of computing, software, networking over the past 70 years. So there's no archives like ours in the world. We have some digital records, and some of that is online. Our oral histories are online, but the vast majority of over 7,000 banker boxes of records, of archives, are in a climate controlled cavern underneath Anderson Library, and it is a collection that is truly unequaled in the world. There's no archive even close in our subject areas. So that's been a key component to helping students use this incredible archive, and advise them in doing that. And both the archivist Amanda Wick and I do that. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Now we're going to turn to the Institute on the Environment.
Hello, I am Kathy Jordan. I direct the Sustainability Education and Leadership Development work for the Institute on the Environment. Happy to be with you. By way of background on the Institute, IONE is a system-wide, interdisciplinary, community-engaged, solutions-focused center that uses the tools of academia, including knowledge production and education and leadership development and communication in the public interest, to make an impact on significant environmental and climate change related issues. We are a pretty large center. We have at least 50 staff members, including graduate research assistants and undergrad research assistants, and a cohort now of at least 14 or so postdocs. And we have an affiliated community of about 250 faculty, staff, and community partners. We provide for our IDFs $2,000 in flexible research funding, access to a variety of our programs and our staff and our affiliates. It's really the strength of IONE is really its vast network and an opportunity to talk with a variety of scholars, both the IONE staff and then within our community, our affiliated faculty, staff, and community partners. Talking to them about their specific work, their career paths, the questions they're tackling, the motivations, etc. They're just a wealth of information. And there's a lot going on at the Institute. We have a lot of events and trainings for grad students and early career scholars that IDF fellows would be welcome to attend. There's lots of projects going on. You can learn about any and all of it. It's kind of a candy store. You'd have the opportunity to give a presentation or more than one presentation if you want to our staff meeting or our specific units, staff meetings, leadership and ed or knowledge initiatives. And if you needed it, you could have workspace in our facility here in the Learning and Environmental Sciences building on the St. Paul campus. We do have an internal nomination process. The specific instructions are on our website, and that is available in the chat now. And we require, of course, your nomination form, your research proposal, your letter of support from your advisor, and a letter of support from your chosen mentor, who needs to be an INE affiliate faculty member or a member of our staff. We also require a curriculum vitae, so please include a CV. That might be different than maybe what's on the IDF webpage. And all of this needs to be submitted to us by the 20th of October at noon. And the email address and what to include in that email is on the website. And I think that's all I needed to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathy. We're going to now pivot to the Interdisciplinary Center for the Study of Global Change, ICGC, with Karen Brown.
Thanks very much. Hi, everybody. I'm Karen, and I direct the Interdisciplinary Center for the Study of Global Change. I'll give you a little bit of background on the center and then tell you how the IDF process works at our center. So ICGC is a campus-wide center, and we are focused on issues of global social justice and global social change, very interdisciplinary in nature. So we have participation from colleges and departments across the university and across the campus. We include faculty and students from the humanities, the social sciences, the natural sciences, public policy, etc. So broad interdisciplinary is a part of our mandate, and we seek to support and foster connections in this area of global social justice research and education. Our community at ICGC that we invite IDFs to be part of consists of really three major groups. We have about 65 current graduate fellows at ICGC who hold ICGC fellowships. We also have about 80 current affiliated faculty from across the university, again, a very interdisciplinary group. We have approximately 20 master's students affiliated with our center in our international development focused master's program. And we also have a group of visiting scholars each year. This year, for example, 3 of those visiting scholars are IDFs. So as an IDF at ICGC, we invite you to participate in our community in several ways. We invite you to present your work in our weekly talk series, colloquium series that takes place every Friday. We also invite you to use a workspace in the center. Sorry, one moment, please. Sorry about that. I had a little technological difficulty here. We invite you to present work in our series, use a workspace in our center, and also, like other centers, we provide funding for professional development support for research expenses or to attend conferences. We also have opportunities to collaborate with others in our center through our seminars. Sometimes our IDFs elect to enroll in, for example, our doctoral research preparation seminar. We also invite you to participate in our various research circles and research projects as well. Our process, similar to other centers here, has an internal deadline to the center of October 16th. So we invite you to submit all of your application materials by that time. You can look at our website, icgc.umn.edu, and you can find the information there on how to apply. After that October 16th deadline, we have an ICGC faculty committee that reviews applications and identifies the students we want to nominate to the graduate school. We also encourage you to come and visit the center and to meet with us or meet with me to learn more about the center and how your work might fit. So I encourage you all to check out the website and see if the center makes sense for your project. Thanks.
So now we're going to turn to the Minnesota Population Center.
Hello, everyone. I am Lindsay Fabian, and I do have some slides to share with you today. I am the Training and Grants Manager for the Minnesota Population Center and the Life Course Center. I'll start with the Life Course Center. We are an interdisciplinary center on campus funded by the National Institute on Aging, and we study, as you can see here on the slide, time, age, biography, and history as they play out over time and space in various settings and local contexts, including work, family, education, community, and other contexts like that. Here is our website if you want to check out more information about the Life Course Center. We have 3 funded research themes. So if your research fits into any one of these themes, please contact us and feel free to chat with me afterwards. Later life course population trends, life course dynamics as disparity mechanisms, and the relationship of work, family, community participation, and health. Now we'll go into the Minnesota Population Center. This is another center funded by the National Institutes of Health. This is funded by the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development. And the MPC works to advance knowledge of human populations across time and space, focused on health, well-being, and demographic behaviors and human environment interactions. And we do big population-based research, cutting-edge theory and quantitative methods about big data issues. We also have some funded research themes that you can see here: population health and health systems, reproductive health, spatial demography, structural racism, and work, family, and time. Both of our centers have over 100 faculty members from across the university that are affiliated with our centers. And with all of the faculty and staff coming together, you would be embedded in a really strong intellectual environment and get to work one-on-one with many of our faculty in our 2 centers. We have weekly events hosted jointly by the LCC and the MPC, which I'll talk about a little more in my next slide. And students can become members of our organizations and have access to all sorts of resources and services as well. IDFs at either one of our centers have a computer and an office space, and we provide $2,500 in research funds for travel or other professional development needs you may have. And so, like I said, IDFs are fully integrated in our 2 centers. We have vibrant training programs, and you'd become one of our trainees at our center and invited to scholar development meetings with our cohort of other trainees. We have a weekly speaker series on Mondays over lunch and professional development events Fridays over lunch. And these speakers that come in on Mondays, IDFs and our other trainees are welcome to meet with them one-on-one to have lunch. So you get access to all sorts of cutting edge research and researchers from across the country and really the world. If you're interested in any population studies research, that would be a good fit with the Minnesota Population Center, and our email is there. Please email us earlier than later if you're interested in working with us. If you're more interested in life course or aging research, that's a better fit with the Life Course Center, and there's our email there. And we can help you identify a mentor whose research matches with yours to really gain the interdisciplinary perspective that can lead to a successful application. Our deadline, our internal deadline, is October 20th. And then we have a committee as well that looks at all the applications to both of our 2 centers. And we really look to see who we can support and who really will benefit from working with us, and who we will love to work with them as well. And they will benefit us by bringing in their research interests. So again, my name is Lindsay Fabian. I'm happy to talk to people now or later, and there's the 2 email addresses for our centers, or you can contact me directly. Lastly, I will say if you're not interested in an IDF, but you want to learn more about our centers, please become a student member. It's free to join, and here are the websites, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. So now I'm going to introduce the IAS, the Institute for Advanced Study, and I will also introduce myself late. I'm Bianca Castellanos. I'm the director of the IAS. The IAS is an interdisciplinary community of scholars, and we also have a range of programming. Our priorities include racial justice, community engagement, and international engagement, but we support all exciting interdisciplinary work. So the way the priorities work is that when we get applications, we're really excited just to support outstanding scholarship. And then when we get to the middle, where we're trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be next, then we think about those priorities and how those applications or their scholars will best fit into those priorities. So each semester we have faculty fellows and interdisciplinary doctoral fellows from 2 to 3 different colleges and at least 1 system campus. We may also have visiting scholars and postdoctoral fellow scholars in residence. So for example, this year we're hosting 13 faculty fellows, 2 IDFs, and 1 postdoctoral fellow. And what do we provide? What we do at the IDS is really try to build a rich community for you to think, research, and write. We have weekly gatherings for the fellows where you present your work and you get feedback. For IDF fellows, that means you get to present twice, once in the fall and once in the spring. IDF fellows get office space, a computer if you need it, and access to a kitchen. And we also provide $2,500 in professional development funds. We also hold workshops and labs, for example, with the libraries, with the University of Minnesota Press, and so forth. These are all based on fellows' interest and needs. So if there's something that a workshop or a lab that you would like to learn more about, or skills that you would like to learn more about, then we're happy to put that together for you. In the past, we've also organized writing groups and writing hunkers. Again, this is all based on fellows' needs. And for the next 2 years, our programming is organized around our series Injustice. So we expect our fellows to participate in our programming. So for example, last night we co-hosted a panel on book banning with the Eastside Freedom Library, which was really terrific. It was a wonderful experience. And some of our fellows were able to come because it was an evening event. And those who weren't able to be there in person are able to join us via the web because our events are hybrid. And next week we're hosting a conversation on drumming and the Stoner Rebellion as part of our Spotlight series with North Rep. What else do you need to know about us? So we expect all fellows to participate in our community, and that includes the weekly gatherings to discuss writing and research, and also our programming. We also can help you find a mentor. So if you look at our website under the section called Opportunities, that will describe the IDF fellow, and there's a box that lists how you can look through our mentor list. And so if you're not sure who would make a good mentor, just feel free to contact me or Susanna Smith, our managing director, and we're happy to talk with you about potential mentors and who would make a good fit, and also how that might align with the IAS's expectations. We get a lot of applications, more than we can fund, or than we can nominate. So for example, we usually nominate between 7 to 8 people. Last year we nominated 8, and we were able to get 2 IDFs. The year before that we had 5, and sometimes we've had none. So it really varies because, like Karen mentioned, it's not up to us, it's up to the committee. But we're always delighted to host people. Our internal deadline is October 16th. And so our internal committee is made up of representatives from our advisory board. And what we really pay attention to in those applications is all the things that Karen mentioned. How are you defining interdisciplinarity? How is your work interdisciplinary? Highlighting interdisciplinarity, and also how the mentor will help you think through your work in ways that you hadn't thought before. So again, like Karen mentioned, you may have somebody be a mentor who's within the same college, but we really want you to think about what is it they're bringing to your work and how will help it move in new directions. And so because we understand that sometimes there's your project is not as broad as when expects, like you're not pairing science and literature, but we still want you to think critically about what's the intervention and what what are you going to get from that relationship? That's really important for us to know, because then when I write the nomination letter, I want to be able to say that in my letter. We'd be delighted to host any of you. So if you're interested in the IES, please stay for the Q&A section, and we'll talk more about those interests and how they align with our center. And so thank you so much for joining us today. Before we move into the breakout rooms, I would like to introduce Amanda Lyons. Is Amanda here, Abby?
I'm here.
Okay, great. Amanda, who from the Human Rights Center, is going to talk a little bit about her center, because of who yes.
Thank you. And I'll be really brief. I'm just really grateful for the chance to get to say hello to this group. My name's Amanda Lyons. I'm the executive director of the Human Rights Center at the law school. And although we're one of the oldest research institutes on campus, we're new to the IDF program. We have hosted a couple of fellows and had a really positive experience. So I'm just glad to have the chance to kind of introduce the center to this group, and let you know that we also are accepting applications and kind of fielding inquiries if you happen to be interested in coming over to the law school. We have 12 faculty members that are affiliated with our center, and we have a very expansive approach to human rights, whether it's social movements or advocacy or a very legal focus. So really glad to answer any questions if that's of interest to folks. I will add a link to our application form with more information, and I'll be available if anyone has questions. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Amanda. So now we're going to actually pivot to the breakout rooms for Q&A. So if you did not indicate which breakout room you wanted to participate in at the beginning of the session, just send a message to Abby Travis, and she will connect you with the right room. So I will see you all there. Thank you so much.